You're watching Talk Man, and I'm CJ. Welcome back to their album ranking. And today's album ranking, as you can tell, is Dio, the solo albums of Dio. Another discography that is perfect. Another discography that I don't think there's any bad albums from. So it's going to be fun to go through. So if your favorite's last, don't be offended. It's last because everything above it that I have above it is better in my opinion, but it's still a perfect album. Because, yeah, number 10 is controversial to have this low, which is Lock Up the Wolves from 1990. I know this one might be a little bit controversial to have the last one, but really it's always kind of been my least favorite when it comes to Dio. Not a bad album, even though coming in last. Lock Up the Wolves is a slower album than the ones before it, with a heavier guitar tone, which is good, but doesn't hit as hard as the other ones before it and after. The guitar work on Lock Up the Wolves is brilliant. It is brilliant. The guitar work is brilliant on this album, with the most of the solos on the record being some of their best, honestly. But yeah, the songs, however, are not as memorable. That's what brings it here. It's still perfect. I could still listen to this album and quite enjoy it all the way through and like it. But yeah, the only thing is the memorability of the songs are kind of iffy because they have other albums that are really big, and this album just there's really no like huge songs for Dio on this one. The best one on this album is Born on the Sun. Just that song is just so good. That's one of my favorite Dio songs, honestly. It's really good. Number 9 is going to be Angry Machines. Everybody's most usually fans have this as the last, but for me, it's a little bit better than Lock Up the Wolves. I love how experimental it is with the sound, but if it was more along the lines of what Strange Highway was, spoiler alert, it would have been a lot higher. The tone on this album is a little bit slow for my liking, but Dio still kept the songs interesting, which for an album like this seems impossible. Really, the guitar tone is kind of like not as hitty as you would want it to be. Best song in this album is the last one, This Is Your Life. The slow song, yeah, of course the slow song is going to be the best one on this album. Yeah, I really can't pick any other one from this album for some reason. Other good ones from it are Hunter of the Heart and Big Sister. Pretty good songs, too. Number 8 is going to be, surprisingly, Killing the Dragon. A complete shred fest of an album. The lineup in this album may be Dio's best lineup honestly, my favorite Dio lineup. But if we're going to talk about how the songs stand up to all the other albums, yeah, I prefer the other albums. But it only lasted one album for some reason. It's here because of how good the others above it are, and really that's the only reason. I would say that the other albums kind of blow it out of the water, kind of. It's kind of like a fantastic masterpiece in a discography full of masterpieces, basically. That's why this one is here. The riffs and solos are some of the best when it comes to Dio. The songs just suffer from memorability. Favorite song on this album is the title track, of course. I think this is the one that featured Doug Aldrich on guitar. That is another reason why this one is a shred fest. Guitars for Lion. Another one of a very obscure band that I've listened to for years as well. Lion, a glam band from way back in the day. Number 7 is going to be Sacred Heart from 1985. I don't understand the dislike people have for Sacred Heart. Yeah, it's one of Dio's worst, but not because it's bad, but because everything that's higher on the list just is that much better. The guitar work is brilliant, with the tone, riffs, and solos being potent and ear candy. I've heard fans say that the back half of the album falls off, and well, that's bullshit, honestly. That's absolutely bullshit. Those songs still hit, honestly. They still hit as much as the first half of the album. Really, Sacred Heart is better than most will admit it is. And yeah, the best song is Rock and Roll Children, fucking classic, honestly. Rock and Roll Children, as well as Another Life. Like, that whole thing where he does that maybe and that stuff is that song is so fucking good, honestly. It's Sacred Heart, King of Rock and Roll, the whole start of the album with it being like a live start. Shoot Shoot is actually a good song. Another one that people can diss on all the time. Like, it's still a very fucking amazing song. Number 6 is Dream Evil. Of course, I think I hit this one at number 1 last time. Opinions change, but I've listened to Dio countless times this year, last year, and ever since I did this ranking last time. Hard to believe this lineup didn't last as this album fucking hits. It has a darker feel than the 3 released before it, and is the first without Vivian Campbell on guitar. And you can tell there's a different lead guitarist on this one, as the riffs and tone are unlike anything before and after, making the album quite unique. The songs in this album especially hit. Well, especially Night People, fantastic opener. Like, yeah, Night People just kicks your ass into the record, honestly. I don't know if this album would be lower if that song wasn't the first song and it was some other song, but yeah, that was a great pick for being the first song on this album. It's honestly a classic for this album. I know that you're going to be able to see those over there, but I don't know where else to put them. Number 5 is going to be Master of the Moon, the album art's on my shirt. Master of the Moon from 2004. The last Dio album, the most recent and last for Dio studio, because yeah, this is the last one he released in his studio discography before he passed away. And yeah, Master of the Moon has a different feel to any other Dio record and stands as a unique piece. The songs are more memorable than Killing the Dragon, and overall a better album compared to that one, only leaving out the Shredfest, because really this one is more like rhythm based and it kind of works better, honestly. It kind of works better to have the rhythm based, to have Dio's vocals go over like a really mystical rhythm that this album brings at some points. Master of the Moon never gets old and is always enjoyable every time. Dio ended his solo career with a masterpiece. Really, this is a masterpiece, honestly. I absolutely love this album. Best song here is Shivers. Another one of those mystical rhythms another mystical rhythm that really only Dio could have done. Number 4 might be controversial, but I don't know. Holy Diver from 1983. Absolutely legendary, and for good reason. Dio's most famous work, with his most famous song, the title track, Holy Diver. I think that one's just been played to death on the radios, but really I never get tired of it hearing it on the radios. It is the first album since Dio's first stint with Black Sabbath, and really he didn't lose any momentum with his first album for solo. The song selection on Holy Diver is pristine, with the title track, Don't Talk to Strangers, Straight Through the Heart, and Rainbow in the Dark being classics, but I have to pick a different song for the best song in this album, which is Caught in the Middle. Probably one of my top five Dio songs, honestly. Caught in the Middle. It's kind of like a more obscure track on this one, but yeah, I like that song better than everything else on this record. It's just one of my favorite songs ever from Dio. Number 3 is going to be controversial as well. Strange Highways from 1993. Fuck, this album is heavy. That's all. I could just leave it there. I could just leave it at that, but really I'm not going to. This album, after Ronnie came back from Black Sabbath for the second time, this is the second like in the last stint that he had in Black Sabbath at this time, and or I think it was maybe he had another stint later, like after Master of the Moon was released. Tell me in the comment section. I probably fucked it up, but I don't care really. um, and Doom influence is still there and prominent. The Doom influence from Black Sabbath with the second stint from Black Sabbath is just full on display here. Dark, weird, and chuggy, this album hits on every fucking level and just keeps up pummeling all the way through. The guitar work is top notch with the pinches and overly heavy Doom riffs, in my opinion. Even having some of the groove metal elements that you would see from Pantera and all the other, like, even, yeah, basically, even like the Testament Low and those albums, kind of has that feel to it, but the vocals are quite different. Dio's vocals are different, being more intense and distorted on this album as well, which fits right with how the guitars and the instruments are. Best song, obviously, is the title track. The title track is honestly the best of this. Those Strange Highways. Yeah. Number 2 is The Last in Line. You already know what number 1 is now, and yeah, it's pretty controversial to have the one that I have at number 1, but yeah, it's always impressed me, number 1. Barely beating out the one below it, Strange Highways. The follow-up to Holy Diver, and well, it's basically the continuation of the Holy Diver sound. Having the ripping guitars shredding and the magnificent vocals of Dio, The Last in Line is a classic in heavy metal history. Vivian Campbell on guitars as well, also the shredder. The dark feel of this album from the cover art, the greatness brought on by the title track, which is my favorite on this album, honestly. One of my favorite Dio songs of all time, The Last in Line. Following up an album like Holy Diver is no small task, and you would think it would be impossible, but Dio really did it. No sophomore slump, no sophomore slump, no bullshit, released in second. Yeah. The Last in Line, fantastic record. Now we go to number 1, which is Magica from 2000. This one might be a little bit... This one is kind of weird to have at number 1, but truly the finest Dio work. Finest, the crowning, the best. Having this album at number 1 is definitely weird, but in my opinion, justified. Magica is a concept album that really shows how creative Dio can get. I'm still sad that Magica 2 and 3 didn't happen because Dio passed away before he can get them out and write them. I would have loved to see maybe in another universe Magica 2 and 3 came out. But yeah, we're left with Magica, the masterpiece. Usually concept albums would compromise some songs to be relatively forgetful in order to push the story along, but not this one, as I think every song is on point, every song is memorable, the whole album just flows, just front to back, just constant. The dark atmosphere and the slow speed, kind of what Angry Machines was, but actually has some bite. And yeah, it gives it an eerie feel, which just magnifies the greatness of this album. All these reasons and more why I think Magica is Dio's best solo work, and really the full album. The full album is my favorite. I really can't pick a song from it. All the songs basically just make the album. It's a ride, it's a story throughout, and it's my favorite Dio album. So, hope everyone liked it. It was a pain in the ass getting this video out, as you could see by how long it took to get this video out, because I've just had like a fuck ton of holiday shit to do. But yeah, I'm not gonna leave YouTube hanging. Honestly, I'm not gonna leave YouTube hanging. You know that I'm not gonna leave it. But yeah, till next time, I will see everyone whenever I upload again, which I'm hoping in the next few days I will be able to. Maybe tomorrow I'll work on another ranking. But yeah.